Thanks, Aisha. Welcome, Sandhya, to not just this place, but to India. After so many years, you've been doing stuff all over the world and coming back here. This is a very, very exciting time for all of us who have been in India, and I'm sure it's going to be even more exciting for people like you, who are going to be bringing all your experiences and adding to the party, I would say, that we are seeing that is happening around here with so many people innovating, so many new things happening around. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
So I think, India is a little unpredictable and sort of goes off a little tangentially. Where is Navika here? You saw that in the first session itself. I mean, we start with something and it goes off in this direction, that direction. I think people in media, people like us, have the responsibility to bring the discourse back on track. And I will bring it straight on to the topic at hand, digital. We have, in fact, in the last decade or so, seen India becoming a very, very, very big player on the digital data use. And that, I think, has been, one of the key triggers of it is the internet service providers and the companies which have done the infrastructure to bring the costs of data down so significantly different, in this part of the world. But it also has been partnered by companies like you, and I would say WhatsApp in particular, because that is, I think, one of the killer apps that moved people from the regular SMS into using smartphones, and therefore the need to sort of get data enabled. As we understand from various numbers, about 700, almost 800 million users already on internet in India. And, you people have already done a great job there. But there, I think, are roughly another 500 million people. So what is WhatsApp and what is Meta's and companies like your role in democratizing the power of technology?
Thanks, Anand. You're right, there's 700 million people on the internet and counting. It was exciting to see the pace of change and the number of people getting added who are coming online every day. I think of our role as democratizing the access to technology, right? So if you think about our platforms and what it enables, for many Indians, it's the first port of call. Their first experience with the internet is our platforms, be it Facebook, be it WhatsApp, or be it Instagram. And I think what we've done is actually democratized access to many people who wouldn't have had, that access. We made it intuitive and we made it widely available. So we remain excited about helping getting the next 500 million people online as well. And I think the way we think about it is also in terms of creating for India and thinking about India first innovations. So we think this will also help in, inclusion and improving access. So some of the things that we've done are JioMart, our partnership with Jio, and where we launched JioMart, where you have this really seamless experience. When I tried it, I was pretty blown away. You don't have to download an app. You don't have to think about, learning a new way of ordering groceries. You just do it on, an app that you already use and love, which is WhatsApp, and then you use it to get groceries. And that's changing the way people use WhatsApp and how they experience WhatsApp and, communicate with businesses. The second thing that I think we've done a lot of work around is just Indians love to consume short form videos, and I talked about unleashing expression. And I think that's where also we've sort of doubled down our investment in Reels in India, and we launched Reels in India first globally. So again, that's, making something for India that then transcends across, that
so we
translates.
we can expect to, over the next, during your tenure and the next decade, see India-specific innovations and India-specific products also?
Yes,
because culturally we are
JioMart was definitely an India-specific product, and we remain invested and excited about the India opportunity. And I would just, say also that as a company, we connect 3.7 billion people across the globe. So this is something that we hold dear to our heart, which is just improving access to technology for everyone through our platforms.
Thanks. Okay, now, post the pandemic and, the whole pullback of cash across the globe, inflation, etc., and all that has sort of suddenly started hitting, investments into startups, and the whole mood has changed over the last 6 months compared to the 2.5 years before that. And that obviously is going to have an impact on, the investments, which are, so important for new areas. And what do you think, what are your thoughts on the contagion effect on the Indian tech sector and challenges that we will face in realizing the vision of so-called India's decade that the minister said?
The news is grim, isn't it, Anand? Like anytime you see there's a bank failing, be it SVB or Credit Suisse, interest rates rising, that causes more turmoil in the market, capital markets drying up, VC funding drying up. So I think the macroeconomic situation certainly looks grim. But I think, and it would be a fallacy to think that India will be immune to everything that's happening globally. But what I see is actually a tale of two cities. I see a story of resilience in India, and I think that's powered by a bunch of things. Economic resilience, the digital governance that we talked about, which is enabling inclusion for millions of people, the very strong and robust startup ecosystem. So I actually see, even as there are global headwinds, we remain really optimistic and excited about what's happening in India. And I think the way we think about it, and which is why you talked about our commitment in investments, we actually see the role that we can play during this period is really around upskilling and training and supporting more Indians, to earn livelihoods. And that's something that we've been quite committed to. Some of the work that we announced, a few years ago was around CFIND, where we've committed to train 10 million small businesses over the course of the next 3 years and help them come online and, be digital. We've also committed to support 250,000 creators, because we realize creator economy is becoming huge and a viable source of business of livelihoods for Indians. Similarly, we're future focused. We're thinking about XR. We announced a fund with Meti and Fiki to train startups and developers, and we've invested 3 million in that. So, while the larger macroeconomic situation is certainly grim, we remain really excited about, India's prospects.
So besides the ecosystem development, which obviously is a huge investment, and that is, I would say, in the area of consumer development and user development, within, Meta itself, do you think there is going to be investment into your Indian operations in terms of bringing people who will do research and development of your products from India? Or that will continue in the way it is?
At this point, I have no news to share on that.
So digital, we've gotten to the business and the ecosystem point of view. Small businesses in India have greatly, benefited from Meta's work with Facebook first, WhatsApp, of course, and Insta being a very, very important area for them. The smallest of startups, originally start from that. How do you think they can continue capitalizing on digital to grow and scale? Or do you think, because most of the times you see that they go to a certain stage, and then there is a sort of a plateauing. So what is it that can be done from your side to sort of, intervene there?
Yeah, I think on small businesses, we remain particularly excited about small businesses. A lot of the time that I've spent since I've moved in India has been trying to understand how small businesses set up, their operations online with us, how they actually sell their goods, and how we can make it easier for them to onboard and scale on our platforms. And I would say this, I'm actually seeing a couple of things. One is, for small businesses, earlier, you'd have to set up a website or build an app to actually go online. And it was a big sort of, friction point for them and a big barrier for them to do that. And I think what's happened with our platforms, and certainly others as well, is that that barrier has fallen away. Now, pretty much anybody, with a good idea who runs an offline store can actually go online. They don't need a web page. Their first port of call can be WhatsApp or Facebook or Instagram. And we see that playing out on our platform time and again. The other thing that we see, when we actually did a survey with Ipsos, we saw 72% of SMBs actually reported using one tool, a Meta platform tool, to actually grow and scale their businesses. The second thing that we see is just the access to a larger market, which wasn't possible before. Say, I'm from Vizag, right? So you're a small store in Vizag, or you're a small business sitting out of Vizag. It's now possible for you to reach all of India using digital platforms, and that's the power digital gives you, right? So we've seen that as well play out on our platforms, and we're happy to play a part in it. Again, the same Ipsos survey talked about 50% of SMBs actually reported exporting globally. They said they got more access to global markets, and they were getting orders globally through our platform. So I think that's the other opportunity it opens up. The third, and this is the one that I'm most passionate about, which is just women-led entrepreneurship, right? So my aunt is an perfect example of someone who's come online and has started her store completely on Instagram. The other day she called me and very excited. I sold 1 lakh of smocked frocks on Instagram, and that sort of blew me away. But what we've seen since the pandemic is more women are taking steps to become entrepreneurs on our platform. So I think 73% of all Instagram pages that are women-led, that identify as women-led, started post the pandemic on our platforms. Half of all the Facebook admins who also are small business owners who are women also started their businesses post the pandemic, and their presence, not businesses, their presence on Facebook post the pandemic. So women-led entrepreneurship is another place where I think we can play a big role.
Great. So consumer behavior is seeing a sea change, and particularly in the last 2 to 3 years, pandemic being a very, very important trigger, whether it's consuming news, entertainment, shopping, utilities. How do you think brands are leveraging these apps of yours to cater to the trends in this? And you also started saying that, but I think, when we sort of look at small brands doing it, there is a significant, gap between what they currently do with native intelligence versus what they can do. So what is it that they are doing, and what are you doing to help?
I think on brands, again, I had the opportunity to see the same thing play out in Southeast Asia as well. So again, I think in India, I'm seeing a different, set of trends. The first that I would say is just the small business bit that we talked about. 63 million, MSMEs in this country, contributing to 30% of our GDP, and employing 110 million people. So that's a huge stat. And what we're seeing is more and more of them are going digital. So that's a big trend that we're seeing, and that's something brands may want to capitalize on. The second thing that we're seeing is around D2C. Like, gone are the days when there was only one flavor of cola or only one brand of shoes that you bought, right? And this has really transformed. If you look at the country, and we have a ringside view to this, because we see a lot of these brands being born on Instagram or on Facebook, but direct to consumer is the other big trend that we're seeing. There's just one example is Wow Earth, which is one of our fastest growing beauty brands, and that's pretty much all digitally led, and they do full funnel advertising, that right from branding to actually fulfilling using digital platforms. So that's another big thing. The third thing, and you talked about it, and the Honorable Minister also talked about it, which is Bharat, right? And the number of people coming online, from the rural areas in our country today. I think the stat he used was 92 million versus 97. So 97 million rural Indians coming online in just the last 3 years. So I think building for Bharat versus India is something that we see brands doing more of, and I think they should do much more of as well. So I'll give you a simple example. Eno actually used the national census data, zip codes, and their own audience to target rural populations in India. And they targeted 27 million people doing that, and saw 27% increase in sales with just this strategy. So I think brands that are savvy, that know how to target, because then you'll end up seeing a larger audience, a larger set of consumers you can reach out to, and then you're building for rest of India, not just the metros. And I think that's a big thing as more and more Indians come online and start consuming.
This is something that I'm taking aside. Yeah. In the rural area and amongst women, and I'm not thinking that they are anything more or less, but when one looks at people in the family who do this, dabble at entrepreneurship with the newfound power of technology, mainly WhatsApp or to some extent Amazon here, or Jio, I think there is a significant difference, as I said, between native intelligence and the smart ones, right? And we feel people are bewildered, in fact, to make that leap. You probably would have plans, but can we discuss anything on that in terms of how are you proposing to handhold the entrepreneurs into getting a little better than what they currently do on the marketing side? Because what happens is there are agencies, but then, you really have to go from agency to agency to agency 4 to 5 times to actually find a, cut. And it's difficult for people who don't have that kind of money to spend something and then go back and out. Because Facebook is ultimately a marketing company, marketing support company like us. We also in our ecosystem have to handhold our advertisers. So, but your advertising base is like millions, and probably will become $1 billion in the future. How do you propose to look at that in this country?
Yeah, a great question. And I think I alluded to it in the beginning. In fact, and an aside, my aunt calls me for Instagram tips, so I myself am trying to get better at it so I can help her with it. But it's true, our products, our platforms now serve millions of people. You can reach an audience, you can build your business, and we take that responsibility really seriously. So the work that we're doing to actually get small businesses online, so the partnership that we have on CFINE, which is a Center for Entrepreneurs that we launched, I think, earlier in 2021, I think, late 2021, we're really focused on enabling and training 10 million small businesses across the country in the next few years. That also includes creators, because I think what we're also seeing is a blurring of lines of creators and small businesses, and creators can also become entrepreneurs and make a viable living. That's 250,000 creators. So there's work we're doing there. There's work we do anyway online on our platforms where we enable web-based learning, and people can come and learn at their own pace and their own time. So that's again something that we're doing. The bits that we are now investing in, and where we think there's leaps into the future, is around the metaverse. So we partnered with CBSE because we think young children, tutors also need to learn about what's coming down the pipe. So there we're looking at 10 million students and around 1 million educators, when we partnered with the CBSE board to train them on the basics of XR, because we think, that may be a decade away, but it's coming. And you saw that, at the launch today. So that's also a place where, so upskilling, training, it's never enough. So I think we need to do more public-private partnerships around this.
So WhatsApp is emerging as India's growth platform, touching the lives of users in different ways. How do you see WhatsApp as a private messaging app transforming businesses, in which sectors will be the forefront of this change?
So WhatsApp, definitely WhatsApp, right? So if I think about WhatsApp in India, again, connecting hundreds of millions of users, and I talked earlier about businesses coming online through WhatsApp, we don't see a single sector as such. In fact, what I've been really pleasantly surprised by, just yesterday we met with a large financial services player, and they were using it to renew insurance policies. So we're seeing, banks and financial services institutions use it. We're seeing, for example, HDFC Ergo uses it for, reaching farmers in rural India and, giving them agricultural farmers insurance. So there is that. We're seeing retail use it, right? And I talked about JioMart, which is transforming the way you buy groceries in India. So I think there's no one sector. What we've been really pleasantly surprised by is across sectors, the amount of willingness people have to test and learn. And this is what I keep saying in my 7 years at Meta, formerly known as Facebook. I think if you test and learn on the platform and you're willing to try things, you end up seeing success. That's something I've definitely seen in India. The other bit that I've been, quite excited by is the partnership we have with public sector and just the government. So I talked about MyGov, which is, 40 million vaccination certificates downloads and as we speak. But equally, the work we're doing with Metro Rail. So now it started with Bangalore, and now it's in 3 other metros. You can just go online and, use WhatsApp to buy tickets, and that's transforming the way people commute. So we're seeing more and more use cases that transcend not just private sector, but going to the public sector domain as well.
That was one of my questions as to how do you get it, because I see, for instance, the Bombay Municipal Corporation, see ads there, below it is, there is a WhatsApp number which sort of asks you to sort of ask questions. So I think there is a lot to sort of, for you to contribute into the e-governance aspect and governance in particular. One very important question on WhatsApp, SMSs, all of us have seen, has practically become a sort of a bin of spam. WhatsApp is not that. But lately we have started seeing that there's a bit of a spam happening from the business side on that. I mean, do you guys have, any way to sort of start filtering that? Because, that otherwise will become a problem.
WhatsApp is now open for business. And with that, you're right, there'll come questions like the ones you've asked. I think the thing that I want to reiterate and sort of really land is that users have a choice. Right? And we only allow businesses to message users who've opted in to receive marketing messages from the business. So the control and the choice rests with the user. So I think that's a really important thing that, you should be aware of. The second bit is around users can also are the ones that can initiate a conversation with the business if they've not opted in. So that choice remains and exists. That being said, the things that we are also doing to enhance, so you could be in an opt-in list and you want to drop out because you don't like what the business is sending you, you can, you can block that business, and that's a capability that we've built in. Because we're also very aware, and we want this to be an experience that works for the user and and we don't want complaints, right? So this is something we're very laser focused on. So you can block messages, you can report a business if they're sending you too many spam messages. At our end, we have controls, so we don't allow a business to send multiple messages in a day to a consumer. So all of these are safeguards that we're building in as we as we've opened up WhatsApp for Business. Ultimately, I think the key takeaway there for us is that users should find value in the businesses that contact them and not feel harassed. And equally, businesses also should be communicating with users that want to hear from them. So we want to make this a win-win experience, and that's what we're focused on.
The last question, my favorite topic, AI. You know, it's the so-called next buzzword, and I think we're going to be talking about and hearing about it a lot more than we have till now. How do you see it play a transformational role for India in general? This is not a meta question, this is about India and AI. How do you think it will impact us?
This one, I think, you'd probably be the better person to answer that with your 56 years of India experience. But I would say, look, I'll give the meta answer, and I'll talk about how that impacts or how I see that play out in India. I think for us, what we've seen AI do is really transform how we run as a company, right? So if you think about everything from recommendations you get on who to follow, or who to connect with, or the recommendations we see on the ads that we serve, or the integrity measures that we're taking, the misinformation that we're finding on our platform that we take down, all of that is powered by AI for us. So we've invested over many, many years, and we've doubled down, tripled down on AI as an investment for us. But so far, that AI investments has been more on recommendations and, fighting, like I said, misinformation and integrity. What we've now started seeing, which is where I think there's a great role for India as well, is around the power of generative AI, right? Which is, what you saw with ChatGPT, what you're seeing with creative generative AI, all of that, that has also the power to transform your experience, your user experience, increase productivity, efficiency, and just change every field. So there is where we're now invested. Like, we just announced the formation of a new group that's focused on AI at a company level, because this is priority, the top priority for us, and this is where we're doubling down. As for India, I think this is the year that India holds the chair. I think of the Minister Rajiv holds the chair for the Governance Committee on AI, if I'm not mistaken, I think the worldwide chair. And I think that's a great sort of segue into what we can expect to come out of India. I think AI will transform healthcare, definitely, in terms of outpatient outcomes, in terms of recommendations, prognosis. I think it's already transforming banking and finance. It'll transform a lot of sectors. So I'm waiting to see what it does, not just for, the private sector, but also for digital governance and, providing services to ordinary Indians. So I'm excited by that.
Thank you, Sandhya. I think that's about it. And thank you for being a partner with the India Digital Fest. And
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, MK, for that engaging conversation that gave us the essence of the India Digital Fest platform.